Happy Easter, everyone. We're Final Four bound. Special live episode of Locked on UConn.
You are Locked on UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What can we say, guys? I am recovering from just a wild night of just what I watched. I mean, to give you guys some context in watching this game. My wife worked, and so I had my son with me all day, and she was actually supposed to go to a party, so I thought I was going to be alone yelling at the TV or jumping up and down, but they were here, so she kind of wasn't feeling great, so she kind of stuck behind. And I loved it because my 1-year-old has been very fun to kind of hang out with during this run, and it was really cool. He was even when I was yelling at the TV, he was over there clapping and laughing at me and stuff like that. But look, when it was 23-all, I was sitting in my chair, frustrated with the lack of making open shots, but frustration led to just jubilation. That 30-0 run was like nothing I've ever seen before, because it literally took their will away from them, and they didn't even want to play anymore. You know what I mean? Like, what did Andy Katz say in his reporting? I think it was like 14 minutes to go in the game or something around there, where he was saying that the huddle and everyone was saying, well, they got to fight. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep fighting. I made a comment a long time ago about how I felt like UConn is like playing in quicksand. Playing against them is like you're getting stuck in quicksand. And the harder you fight, the quicker you sink. And it doesn't mean that I feel like we're unbeatable, but it's starting to feel that way, guys. 4 wins by an average of 26 points. If you add this, or 24 points, it was 22.9 or 23.9. And then we won by 25 last night. So it's starting to get ridiculous. And the other thing that's starting to get ridiculous is every time UConn plays, they dominate a team. Good team, bad team, whatever. Then the next game is played, and there's another performance like the kid from Alabama, Mark Sears. He's a good player. He's also my height. I'm 5'11". I mean, they probably give him 6 foot, 6'1" because he's rocking, shoes, right? But in flip-flops, that dude's 5'10". And so to think that you could equate how Clemson played defense against Alabama to what now UConn will play against them is wild to me. But that's what people are going to have to do. When you're this good, they're going to have to create narratives as to how they can beat you. Because as of right now, when you look at the losses that UConn had, things weren't right. Clingan wasn't – I don't even think Clingan was all the way healthy. You had him getting into foul trouble against Creighton. The Kansas game, Cam hurt, Steph out. Who else? We lost to Creighton, Kansas, and Seton Hall. The Seton Hall game, right? Clingan got hurt. So to me, this team is as complete a team as there will be throughout the year, and we're ready. We're ready to roll, guys. I mean, this running out of things to say. So let's look at how last night unfolded, right? I said to Illini Twitter and Illini Cast, they were nice enough to have me on. The last question I answered was, does Illinois have a chance? I said, I mean, they have a chance because they're playing, but I don't think they're going to win. And I thought it was going to be about a 14-point game. Sorry, morning coffee. How wrong was I? But I did say that Terrence Shannon was going to get shut down, because anytime you throw the gauntlet down to a Dan Hurley team that has a defensive stopper in Steph Castle. I mean, how good was Steph on defense? Now he had help, right? I think the focus was to funnel Terrence to Donovan because we know he doesn't have a float game. And that's something, if he gets through his legal troubles, he's going to have to work on in the NBA. But didn't work for him yesterday. So also, let's talk about, people talk about the arrogance of UConn and the arrogance of UConn Twitter. I don't think there's ever a moment in time now where people are ever ashamed of some of the things that they say when their team loses. I had a guy who said, "Oh yeah, I mean, I'll take Illinois straight up, $100." He totally reneged on the bet and blocked me, blocked a bunch of people, so that we couldn't call him out. I mean, listen, it's a coward move. It is what it is. We move on. That's one instance. Then I had guys calling me. I mean, it's just awful things because their team lost. I will be the first to say, if Alabama or if Purdue or if Tennessee or Duke, unfortunately, or NC State was to beat UConn in the Final Four, I'm just going to say, listen, you guys played an incredible game. Beat us, because that's what it's going to take. No excuses, no BS, no, well, this person didn't play well. Tristan Newton had 0 field goals last game. We scored 25 points. You think I'm worried about Mark Sears? You think I'm worried about Zach Edey? No one's worried about anything on UConn land. We're just lining them up. Come on, taking all comers. And I think that's the beauty of this team and the beauty of this fan base. And sure, I'm sure there'll be some people that won't have that same stance as me. But I listen, I think UConn Twitter at its heart, as arrogant and as obnoxious as we are, to Dan Turley's point, I think everyone in this world is a pretty good person. And I'm sure some people are listening to this laughing to themselves. But at the heart of this is just about basketball. And when I had Matt Edwards on from Dream Season Pod, I feel like him and I are kindred spirits. He's a little older than I. But the thing that's beautiful about having this team and this kind of relationship with UConn basketball for 40 years is we know the bad, and I'm even too young to know the real bad, but we've had stretches of greatness. It's been a true journey. We're probably the only blue blood that has been on a roller coaster ride for the last 30, 35 years, right? So, peaks and valleys. And we're at the apex right now, and we're ascending even higher. We made history. First time back-to-back Final Fours in UConn history. Most ever wins in program history with 35. Trending towards the best team in UConn program history, which is insane. And trending towards back-to-back titles. What I love about this, and again, I'm wearing an Alex Caravan sweatshirt. I'm not going to turn around, but his name's on the back, number 11. He's always been my favorite player on this team for two reasons. One, before I even dove into what he means to this team, like journalistically, even though I'm not a journalist, but diving into what, people have written about him, the podcast he's been on. Shout out to Jared Kotler. I got my Chick-fil-A yesterday, but I know he's a guest on your show. If you talk to him this week, please tell him that myself, all of UConn Twitter, all of UConn fandom, Husky Nation, is indebted to him because he is the epitome of what they want to bring in at UConn. He made a comment that I loved. I'm going to see if I can find it. I don't have my phone on me, or maybe I do. Let me see this. I took a screenshot of it. Let's see. Alex Caravan last night. We know it's not normal to go back-to-back, but there's not a single normal person in this locker room. If that isn't UConn in a nutshell and what Dan Hurley has created, I don't know what is. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Because he's right. when I look at some of these other teams, I see good players. I see guys who are talented. That Clemson-Alabama game was a fun game last night. Alabama shot the lights out. Even Clemson started to catch fire at the end. Joe Girard, made some tough threes at the end. But they don't have the same dog mentality on defense. When we start going on one of those kill shot 3 barrages that Alabama did last night, we locked down the other team on defense. What Clemson did, if that was against us, they'd be down 15 points like that, because we're going to shut you down defensively. We're not going to be okay with the back and forth. This isn't the NBA All-Star game. This is, we're going to dominate you. We're going to take your heart. We're going to step on your neck, whichever platitude you like the best. And we're going to do that for 40 minutes. And even when you go back to the Illinois game, even when we were tied, I felt like we were in a good spot. You know what I mean? Like I maybe we weren't going to cover the spread, but who cares? Maybe we weren't going to win by double digits, but again, who cares? The thing I love the most about this team is Alex saying that crystallizes what we see every day, which is Tristan Newton, who's been our absolute rock in the backcourt, along with Cam, had the worst game of the year, his worst game in an Elite Eight. And we still won by 25 points. Shout out Hassan Diarra. My headband from Hassan is coming soon. I just checked today. I hope I can wear it before the Final Four. Headband Haas. Hassan Diarra, listen. Said it a few episodes ago. When he comes in the game, he calms me down. He's like he's like the human anxiety pill. Zoloft, Prozac, that's who Haas is. Because I never feel like he's going to lose the ball. I never feel like he's going to ever make a bad pass. He plays within himself, and he knows his limitations, and he's pretty damn good at finishing at the rim. Even hit a 3 yesterday. Oh, yeah, and he plays great defense. It's crazy. But how about the big man? Donovan Clingan. Shout out my dad. My dad has been on the DC train since the guy arrived on campus. He's got to play more. He's got to play more. And he's right. But also, shout out Donovan for waiting his turn. He could go down as a legend. He already is, but of unbelievable proportions. Has there ever been someone that's come into campus that's been the talk of the basketball program on the men's side and won titles back to back? They're only 2 years that they're likely going to be here. I was in the spaces last night because I couldn't sleep, and I listened to his dad talk. This is why he is who he is, and this is why he fits this profile at UConn. I know he was being silly, and I know that, he was, just kind of messing around, but he harped on his free throws. Couldn't make his free throws. Because what did he say? I'm trying to think, because it was like 12:30 at night. Because they're going to matter at some point. And that may be true. But I think we all have confidence that Donovan will make them when they count. That's the thing. Everything counts for this team. I say that, and I always catch myself like, that's that media speak coming in. And then, I'm not going to spend too much time today. I really appreciate the people that are tuning in. What bothers me the most about the national coverage, I don't even care who cares? CBS, TBS, the way people consume media nowadays, doesn't matter. These guys, listen, I think Charles Barkley's funny. I think Kenny Smith is a decent analyst. Clark Kellogg, the best of them all, because he's been doing it. He also watches college basketball. He's not just there because people know who he is. And then having Jay Wright on there, although I feel like they don't give Jay Wright enough time. Like, this is a Hall of Fame coach who knows exactly how good this UConn team is, and they don't give him the opportunity to really kind of show that. So, 28-23 at halftime. Awful performance from UConn and from Illinois. And all they could say was Illinois should be leading. Why? Because they didn't hit their shots. Hello, gentlemen. UConn was 1 of 11 from 3. If UConn makes 2 more threes that half, they're up double digits again at halftime, playing poorly. Let's do some quick math while I have you guys. What did UConn shoot from overall? I'm going to go look at the box score. So I know they shot awful from 3. They were 3 of 17 from 3, 17.6%, 50% from 51.7% overall. So let's do some quick math and see what UConn shot overall, just from 2. So if you take those 3 out, so that's 28, and you take that out. Sorry. It was 62% from 2. Something like that. I'm terrible with math, and this is quick, and I don't want to bore you guys. But yeah, I think we have a comment in the chat. Oliver Collins, the story of March has been UConn's defense. You're right, man. Like, I think what always cracks me up, and I was on that show, Illini Cast, and I made it a point to tell them and to tell anybody that would listen on my show on Friday that Illinois has the 84th ranked defense. Those numbers matter over time. You can play defense for a half. Anybody can do that. But it takes a truly dedicated, locked-in team to do it for a full 40. That's why you don't see defense in the NBA, because it's hard. 48 minutes every day, 82 games. No one wants to do it. That's why you only see it in the playoffs. So that's why this team is special, because these guys have dedicated not only to running the most intricate offense in college basketball, which is the most efficient thing that I've ever seen. And I don't say that lightly. I watch basketball all the time, guys. Like, I joked around with these Illini Cast guys. I watch Big East basketball, Big Ten, ACC, SEC, mid-major. I was blessed to meet a woman that loves sports. So if there's not sports on, we're watching like horror movies and kid stuff. That's it. That's all we do. And she's tolerated UConn basketball. She's become more of a fan. I have to share this with you guys. My biggest fear of all of this is not because we'll lose to them, but because my household will be a mess for at least a day or two. My wife is a huge Tennessee Vols fan, more so football, like everyone in the SEC. But she roots for the basketball team too. Please, please, please do not make it a Tennessee UConn final. That is my only wish. Because we win that game by double digits, and I don't want to rub it in. She's pregnant. We're having another baby. I don't need that stress in my life, everybody. Give me Duke, give me Purdue, give me NC State. Tennessee can lose tonight. But anyway, I digress. I just feel like, again, UConn's defense, Oliver, that's a great call out. The story of March, for sure. And, offense sells papers. It's sexy. It's kind of like the old golf adage, drive for show, putt for dough. Putting is defense. It's the focus. It's the mental focus that to know that that's going to lead to you getting another chance to bomb a big drive. I am more of the driver when it comes to golf. I can definitely poke it out there, but any putting tips are more than welcome. Yeah, guys, I'm not going to spend too much time. I just want to say happy Easter. I love this team. I love Dan Hurley. I love how much we're being hated. and I joked around because now we're playing Alabama. Is this what it's like to be an Alabama football fan? Is to kind of have everyone go, "Oh God, it's UConn again," because we're here and we're 2 games away from going back to back, which is beyond my wildest dreams. Shout out to we got Tommy. Yeah, no, I wanted to change it up today. I love this. I love the logo. It matches with the sweatshirt I'm wearing. I actually am going to get a green screen. The bedroom, the bedroom look. I don't mind it, guys. Like, I'm not a professional podcaster, professional journalist, and so this idea of having this professional setup. This is just who I am. This is my office. This is my guest bedroom. So I like to just kind of keep it very low key. It's a fan run show. And to be honest, guys, most of the shows on Locked On are run by fans. And I guarantee, and I know that some of these guys, work for, big time publications and they do this as well. So not taking anything away from the other hosts at Locked On, but for me, this is a passion versus anything other than that. And if it becomes something more than that, cool. We'll take what the defense gives us, right? But anyway, listen, have a happy Easter. I had a few minutes to jump on today. I love this team. I love UConn fans. If you guys ever want to reach out to me, you can use lockedonucon@gmail.com. Any questions, anything you ever want to hear on the podcast, if you're interested in guests that we haven't had on, I will tease one thing for next week. I'm going to try to have as many Final Four former UConn players as possible. We have one that I'm very excited about. It was supposed to be last week, but I actually think this is a great timing. We will have the one, the only Ricky Moore of our 1999 or 98-99 championship team. I've been texting with him. It's super surreal to me that I can text Ricky Moore. He's not that much older than me, but I feel it makes me feel like a kid because I was a senior in high school when they won it all. So anyway, that's going to be next week. I don't know the day yet, but definitely obviously before the weekend. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your day and go be with your families on Easter. Go Huskies. Final Four. Soon to be national champs. We'll talk soon.